Hey friends, welcome to Season 2 of Three Dudes in a Movie. We've got some exciting projects moving forward, and of course, tons of movies. Here's a friendly reminder that while our content will always be clean, the movies that we watch may not always be family friendly, so respect the parental rating systems accordingly. You ever have that conversation with people where they say, you ask, what's your favorite movie of all time? And they say, can I say all three Lord of the Rings? Because that's one whole story. What do you say to that question? You're shaking your head no.
Yeah, it's like, what's your favorite part of history? Just the entire history of the world. Can I just say that? It's one large story. What's your favorite part of the Bible? Just the whole thing.
Just all 66
Just the parts
books.
that allude to Christ. Oh, thanks.
All 66 books?
It's like you're not answering the question I'm asking. Because you're answering in a way that says, I appreciate this thing. And I was like, that's not what I asked.
Yes.
I asked what speaks to you personally, not just the appreciation of the medium that I'm talking about.
And also, in all fairness, I do assume everyone appreciates Lord of the Rings.
Now, with that being said, I'm immediately going to go back and go, if it's in one book, I count it. So if somebody says, what's your favorite book? I go, Lord of the Rings. I go, if you can find it all in one book, which I have.
That's true.
Is
Lord of the Rings your favorite book?
I count it. No.
I didn't think so, but...
What am I, Ryan?
Hi, Ryan. How you doing?
It's my favorite book and favorite movie.
All right. I knew that was coming.
But you are also willing to say Return of the King is your favorite movie.
Return of the King is the better of the three,
Golly,
but
are
in
we
my
already
mind, it's
jumping
all
in?
one big
No.
movie.
I was gonna let you keep
I
going.
will say I will count it, not necessarily your favorite. I will usually press in and go, okay, yeah, but if you had to choose between, whatever series, however, when it comes to, let's say like counting, I don't know if this works as well. This doesn't really work with movies, but well, I guess it could with what we watch. But when it comes to books, and you say like if you're counting like how many books, say like a reading, like people are doing
just
reading
reading
goals
list,
right now.
goals,
It's January, and they'll go, is Lord of the Rings. So for me, it's like Chronicles of Narnia. Is that 7 books or? And I'm like,
It's 7 books because it's 7 totally different stories.
but I count it as one because because
have-
I read it in one book. I go, how did
Okay.
you read it?
You?
See, I read that in 7 books.
Yeah, so
And
yeah,
I read The
that-
Lord of
that'd
the
be-
Rings in 3 books.
I really don't care.
Right.
But then when people, it's so I can go, well, how many books did you read this year? And I go, 70. And you're like, that's a lot. I go, yeah, but half of this is really a 140.
You said, but it was actually, I read 3 lexicons.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
exactly.
entire language of something.
So really, I'm just trying to brag on myself,
Let's see, I read, so you read you go through something like the comic series Invincible comes to mind.
Yeah.
Where the most popular way they sell that now is in 3 omnibuses.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like, I read 3 graphic novels this year. I mean, they were 40 volumes each. But
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just try to brag on myself. I'm just trying to find out. I'm just trying to find a lot of things in common with Lord of the Rings fans. Boom. All right, moving on.
Hey, Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
Guys,
Just wait
welcome
till
to
you
Three
read the
Dudes in a Movie.
Silmarillion and
That,
find out that it's just a bunch of stories through an entire
They
book.
should do something with that, though.
They are Amazon
Are they?
kind of isn't.
Are they turning it into a story?
Amazon is taking a story and morphed it so it's almost not recognizable.
I've read a
And
little bit of it.
irrelevant.
Like I said, I've read. I'm not into it enough to make a judgment, or
Sure.
I'm not into reading enough of it to make a judgment. But everything that I hear, it's like this. It's almost like a disclaimer, like, well, it's more like it's almost like a textbook.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that.
No, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's better than getting MapQuest and
Yeah.
about what mountain we're going to next.
Well, that's what I mean when I said they should do something with that. Not because you're right, and of course, I mean after we watched Return of the King, I went and spent 2 hours online just soaking in more because that's what you do. That's what you do.
Yeah, I was sitting there looking at similar.
Yep.
I was like, I could start it.
And I was like reading about the Amazon stuff because I was like, well, I haven't watched it, but tell me a little about Rings of Power. And you're right, they are incredibly loosely basing this kind of stuff. But wouldn't it be so cool if they did
Yes.
yeah, fair.
All
Just
right.
I'm like some
We just need the Tolkien fans to be the one that actually does it.
well, that's fair.
But we're all.
I would
Tolkien
love
fans,
a
Ryan.
a lecture,
the real fan.
what if we did a online class series where it's just a class and the textbook is a Silmarillion. But
Marty,
a really high budget.
can I
That's called an English class.
Yeah,
I was about to
but with
ask.
the
How did
Silmarillion-
you
wrote
make
many
Lord of the
languages.
Rings dorkier than it already was?
That's super
Let's
fair.
just make a class on it. I mean, that's what
I
he did.
guarantee
I
there's got to
would-
be a class somewhere where the main point of the class is those books.
No, I'd guarantee it. I took a class
I
on
mean,
comic books in college. I guarantee
Yeah, they have a class on Taylor Swift.
it. Yeah,
I think they probably
friendship class at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I would actually guarantee there's quite a few universities that have it. So, all I'm saying is I would take that class. I would rather take that class than read it. Is what I mean.
I do kind of read those books from a almost like a student's perspective.
Signum University is the first one that popped up.
That's great. I read it from a student's perspective where like I'm enjoying the story, but then also it's the appreciation for, okay, this is what set the motif, this motif in the fantasy genre.
Yep,
Just kind of the bar that it set.
absolutely.
So
It is. You're right. It is.
And I'm also
on paper incredibly dorky.
I'm also
But it's also so cool.
I'm a fan and I'm a really big fan of not reading too much into it for what it is.
Sure.
Because people like to draw comparisons like, well, Tolkien was in World War I and these are the things that
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, dude.
I saw something interesting today about that type of aspect of it.
Yeah.
Somebody was claiming that Tolkien may have actually written the Ents as the Americans because we were the sleeping giants that didn't wake up till we were attacked.
In World War I?
True, that doesn't work because of that, does it?
No.
Well, it depends on when he wrote.
All right, that theory's stupid.
Well, when did he write Return of the King?
that had to be the
Lord of the Rings.
I don't know.
It's not a book podcast. This is a
I don't know when.
let's see.
All I know is that The Hobbit is a good 20 years older.
54,
So that's
Was
after
it-
World War II.
Well, it was published in 54, right?
55.
I'm sure he spent 15 years writing it.
Yeah, but that puts you right at the start of World War II.
I don't think that's the case, but it's a neat,
I-
neat
well,
comparison.
I
I,
just
I
think-
didn't say it was.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
it's a
right,
theory.
right.
I do think that
I mean,
I just-
I'll be an ant. I don't care.
I think sometimes people read too much into it. When I want to say, we go, well, art imitates life. It's like, no, well, life's just like that. It just took somebody to define it for you.
That's true.
And then you just reach for the next closest object, like wherever that author was. Like, well, he grew up around that time. Like, yeah, so did a whole other generation of people, and they weren't writing their fantasy novels about it, But this is something that we talked about in the middle of the movie with the idea of like fantasy or sci-fi trope of the opponent, whatever the antagonist is like a manufactured army, regardless of who it is.
Yeah, it's
Either
always,
like now with sci-fi, it's like technology, AI.
it's always robots.
something with no feelings, and then fantasy.
Yeah,
it's
so
like
you're fine with
orcs.
just slaughtering.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's orcs and goblins.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, well, they're monsters, so you can brutally destroy. You can just absolutely holocaust this species.
Right,
Like,
right. Yeah, you just it gets just lost on you. It's like Nathan Drake from Uncharted. He's like the happiest mass murderer that I've ever met.
He's like, I just love
He's
treasure.
like, I got away again. He leaves a pile of 400 bodies. They're like, oh yeah, well they're mercenaries. They've
Yes.
never done anything good in their
Pirates
life.
and thieves.
They were gonna leave if they didn't. If Nathan didn't kill him, he was gonna go and hurt puppies. And you're like, well, he was just trying to make it paycheck to paycheck. I don't know.
That's why reading into things is not
Do you-
always great.
Do you
Good
feel
thing
like
we got a podcast about discussing
Hey,
movies.
yeah, put your social commentary glasses on for a second. Do you feel like
Always.
that kind of idea is starting to maybe
Permeate.
decrease? I was gonna say it's
the
starting to
opposite.
wane because like an idea of that is that superhero villains can't be just villains anymore.
Oh, I know they,
They
have to be
humanized.
sympathetic.
Yeah. Do you feel like that? Like, okay, the bad guys can't just be a mindless group of like just terrorizers. They have to be.
I have seen there.
Is that a not? I don't want to say a recent trend, not the new under the sun,
right?
but is that compared
That
to
is
what we
that
we're
is the
used to?
trend right now.
Yeah.
Because people, and you know what? You're absolutely right. Because I was listening to another movie podcast. Sorry, I'm cheating on us. Going through.
No, it'd be different if you were making another movie, podcast,
That's true. That's
which
true.
I've done. So I'll apologize.
That's true.
right
But
now.
no, you were
You were
featuring.
a guest appearance.
That's like when
I'm always guest appearing.
it's like when
I can go in any moment.
Eminem
I'll just
and
watch.
Lil Wayne hopped on with Drake to make Forever.
That
So
is
anyway.
just- which one am I?
Lil Wayne.
All right. I love the skateboard.
But no, that was something they were talking about, and they're like they're going through the Batman movies, and I just finished today their episode on 66 Batman with Adam West. campy, a ton of fun. But back then, and even up until like mid 2000s Marvel, that's what villains were.
Yeah.
They were, I'm evil. I will take over the world. Especially back in 66. They were like, yeah, their plot is we want to take over the world. And that's their plot. Like that's the plot of the villains is we want the world. So we will go take it. And it's then it turns, as time progresses, it turns into something else. Maybe it's money is up there with control. Then it gets a little personal. But the one trick pony villain is kind of gone.
Yeah. Well, I'll say something in between this, and I'm kind of reading some of the things I'm consuming right now. Maybe put a bias in the middle of that, but I do think there are
just like World War II.
Yeah, right. There are antagonists that are motivated by chaos.
Yeah.
That, like, it just seems.
You just
like,
rewatching The Dark Knight, or
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, hey, we've got a nice thing going here. It's not perfect, but it's all right. And then there's this character who is introducing chaos for the sake of. He's really they're bent on revenge, but they have been wronged by the system that on the surface is not perfect, but at least passable. Yeah. Everybody accepts it. And then they're like, well, if the system didn't help me here, then I'm going to introduce chaos in the midst of order.
There is a lot of that. Well, what are you consuming that makes you think that? Just so people have a touchstone.
Just reading more. Like, I'm getting back into so study poli-sci in college. So I'm getting more into that, back into that social science. It's a bunch of light reading that no one's going to be interested in.
That's fair.
But just kind of looking at that, like the social commentary of the world right now, and not like today, but like in the last, say, 20 years.
Sure.
It's an interesting, goes back to that motif of like, what are the things that are introduced here? It's like the switch from I don't want control, I just want to cause chaos.
Yeah.
Because it's also the same thing with, I mean, we could talk about that with Star Wars to a certain degree, because if, like, what's the goal? What's the overall good for the galaxy? Probably stability and order.
Yeah.
Who provided stability and order in that? The Empire.
The Emperor. Yeah, the Empire and the Emperor. Yeah.
So then you blow up the Empire, and then it's just this weird, like, power vacuum. And then, of course, you have
and then
the First Order,
someone goes and gets it,
etc. Yeah,
that's the most realistic part of the sequels is that someone went and got it.
Yeah, because what's the alternative? That's the one thing, not the one thing that's bugged me about Star Wars. There's plenty of things that bug me. I like it, but then it bugs me because then it's like, man, we're gonna let all these
perfect, beautiful,
unqualified ranchers like set up a system of government.
That was apparently the plan. Yeah,
and that harkens to our American spirit, but a revisionist history would probably. Sorry,
this is good. This is
I'll
good.
Be honest, I'm happy to be here. I was really excited to get into this guy with you guys, not because I was going to go off on a rant about this stuff. I was really looking forward to Ryan taking the podcast, just talking about Lord of the Rings for the next 2 hours. But
let me transition.
My hands are off the table. You go.
Let me transition, and Ryan, you can take this if you want. But here's just a talking point, because we've been talking about villains for 5 minutes, and
we need to talk about sports more.
This is a thought that I have. I've always struggled with my appreciation of Lord of the Rings. I mean, Lord of the Rings is perfect in so many ways, and some of the things that I might call flaws are a product of that time system, similar to what we were just talking about. Like, the way things are today makes things that used to be great not so great. It's just quality of the product. And so, talking about Sauron as a villain, I really want to talk about him because he might be the least interesting part of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And let me explain, and then Ryan, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, he didn't like that.
Here's why.
You can't hear it, but he didn't like that.
Here's why I say that. And I'm not saying I'm right. I don't care. This is my opinion. Maybe Ryan can convince me that
like it, but this is mine.
I'm sure Ryan can convince me that he's awesome. And I think he's cool. It's just, what is his motive? And I'm talking strictly movies, because I'm a fan of the idea that if we're going to contain Lord of the Rings in the 3 movies, which the 3 movies did great, it needs to exist in its own vacuum. So Silmarillion's out of it. The comparisons to the book are out of it. I'm talking about the 3 movies, the way that 80% of Lord of the Rings fans consume Lord of the Rings, the movies. Sauron has just the desire to rule. He just wants power. And so
There's a lot of questions there.
there's a lot. I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
No.
I
It's
don't
good.
think it's his motive is one of those motive. It's a classic motive that doesn't quite hold up like a lot of new ones do.
Okay.
It's not very intricate. Not saying it's a problem.
Okay.
It is an old story. So there's that. And I don't love that he's an eye on the tower.
All right. Before we go forward, is that all?
I don't want to overblow myself. That'll be
I'll moderate this disagreement. So Ryan,
I'm
I
not
think-
trying to argue.
no, I'll moderate this.
And I think when he
Even
has
argument
a
win.
body way
He's
back
trying to
when,
cover now.
he's super cool.
Don't let him cover.
He is.
All right,
He's
Ryan,
awesome.
let's
The Lord of the Rings. He's not in the Lord of the Rings.
let's start with
Sauron's
this.
not
Oh,
in
you're
Lord of the
making him
Rings.
angrier the more you're trying. Let me start with this, Ryan. For the
I
sake
want
of,
Sauron. I
for
want him. That's what I'm
for
saying.
the sake of the listener, this is coming from the. I'm sorry. Now I'm going to get it. This is coming from the guy that's like, don't show Jaws. Anyway,
No.
all right. So
They
we'll go back.
don't-
No.
don't show
We'll
Jaws
go back
most
to
of the time.
I'll moderate. We're going back. Put in the moderator cap on.
Yes. Well,
Ryan.
stop giving me more things to rebuke.
Yeah, he's getting angry. Ryan,
Oh, he's
Ryan, for
angry.
the listeners at home, why don't let's start off with this. Give us a condensed version of the life of Sauron. Maybe that'll help show or motivate his motivation, some of his powers.
But that's outside of the vacuum of the movies.
That's fine.
Within
no,
the movies-
no, it's fine. We just,
Within the movie, I do agree with you.
because
Morgan.
some of your motives and stuff might be misplaced. You might be
You're
picking
probably
up-
right, and it's probably after everything I just said about keeping in the movies. A lot of that probably comes from the fact that I know about him outside of the movies.
All right.
So
Sorry,
I'm probably
yeah, sorry.
not helping my
Give
own
us-
argument.
But this is for the
Within the
audience
movies, from what I remember, I would agree with you.
Okay.
Outside of the movies, not so much. What I don't remember is if they talk about it in the movie or not. But basically, Sauron needs the ring to regenerate his human physical form.
Yes.
I don't remember
Similar
if
to
that comes
Voldemort.
up in Fellowship
Voldemort
or
did it
not.
first.
But
we
sorry,
did
so
not.
if we jump to
Oh.
the beginning,
Wait, let me Google that. When did Harry Potter come out?
all right.
What's older, Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings?
So
Right into us.
basically, from what I can remember, just a quick synopsis.
I
is
mean,
what
you,
it
gotta,
would
you ain't
called?
got to be that quick
Yeah.
about it. Just go.
The world was created. There was a being created called Melkor, essentially in the same ranking as Lucifer would
Yeah,
be
that's
in the Bible.
that's Sauron's boss.
Yeah.
Guy has a boss.
And so
This guy is not interesting anymore.
Melkor is the first evil in the world. And Sauron starts out as one of the good guys.
Okay.
He's an Istari, I believe.
Is that what Gandalf?
That is what Gandalf
Okay.
is. So they're equivalency.
So yeah, put them at the
being
same power
levels.
level. That's cool.
However, Sauron had more influence and knew more than Gandalf did. It's just like how humans can have different knowledge stats, I guess you could say.
I don't know what you mean, Ryan. That does not.
You mean just
compute
like
with-
That probably doesn't
proficiency?
make
You
it-
mean smarter than others?
he
Is
was
that-
smarter.
Yeah, just like
He-
proficiency in what he.
Yeah,
More
what he
they
does.
intelligence.
studied into different areas,
smart,
and so they had
knowledgeable.
different areas that they knew better. And Sauron,
Gandalf was the gray for a reason. Am I right?
Well, okay, what was his special? If you had to give him a specialty, like what was his thing?
it was jewelry and ring making and that sort of
Okay.
thing, from what I remember,
Oh.
along with
He was a
Feanor.
jeweler and he had a
That's
boss.
fun.
Because he was under. At first, he was under
He was
the
the apprentice.
Valar that oversaw and kind of delved into that area of things, from what I remember.
That all sounds like
Um,
what I've heard.
But so then when
You're doing
Melkor
great.
fell, Sauron took over because Sauron was his number 2 essentially.
Okay.
And so he just tried to keep doing the same thing, which was just not kill all life, but corrupt all living things and corrupt everything, essentially.
Why?
Through jewelry.
That's
Jewel-
Melkor
jewelry.
wanted to create things his own way, and so he couldn't create, so he took and tried to corrupt the same way Satan
Chaos.
does things.
Well, yeah, there we go. We found the proper comparison. It's not World War II.
Yeah.
It's creation itself.
And so then
But that's every story.
in the
Yes.
time of the Lord of the Rings show, Sauron was there in physical body.
Wait,
And-
sorry, a Lord of the Rings show.
Sorry, from the Amazon show.
Rings of Power.
Yeah, that's the one. I can't even remember the name. It's so bad.
You're fine.
I feel like the listener at home's like, you idiot. But I'm like, well, there might have been there's all sorts of Lord of the Rings things.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no.
sorry. go
Unfortunately,
ahead.
that's the only
So
one.
much. I mean,
By the time of that show, he had a physical body,
It's kind of a twist.
and
I know who it is.
that
I do too.
I got spoiled.
happens. Sorry, I'm trying to remember the timeline now.
You're fine. I mean, it's a huge
Him and
timeline.
Galadriel
So
get in an
okay,
argument.
so the
Swearing at each other.
yeah, okay, so at that point he could assume any form. He was basically a shapeshifter.
Okay.
And so he goes to Numenor,
Bucket of water.
and there's a lot more than this, but simplistically, he
Yeah,
goes to Numenor.
If
When
you care, they
Numenor
have those
falls.
podcasts.
Numenor falls and is destroyed like Atlantis. It sinks into the sea, basically.
Okay.
And Sauron's physical body dies there, but his spirit moves on and is still in Middle Earth, and he's able to reform his body again. However, the more times you die, the less you can do that.
Like a Horcrux.
And sure. But so like as it goes on,
No,
he
you're trying to
can't-
get Ryan mad.
like he was able to make himself look
For all he
appealing.
knows, it's from Percy Jackson.
That's a different story.
Okay.
I know the differences. He was able to make himself more appealing, and as time goes on, the more times he dies, the less appealing he can make himself.
Okay.
So by the time of the Lord of the Rings,
He's
not the
look
Lord of the
even-
Rings, but by the
even
time
cooler
of the Battle of the Last Alliance of Elves and Men,
is Sildor.
he could only make it looked evil. He had no way to make himself look other than evil. And that's when he's killed that time.
So he did used to look
He
real
loses
pretty.
the ability to form in human body almost. And this is where in the Hobbit movies they touch on this a little bit.
Mhm.
It's really written in other spots. The sorcerer, I believe. No,
Yeah.
they're necromancer is what they
Yeah.
call
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah.
Is Sauron.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he's almost a physical body at that point. When the council,
It's kind of like a shadow.
and then
It looks
so
really
when,
cool in the movies.
Yeah, it does.
when Gandalf and Saruman, Galadriel, and a couple others go and
See.
fight him, they remove his last ability to create human form or physical form
And
without
that's
the
where,
ring.
That's where the eye comes in.
And so the movie
Without the-
takes and
without the
goes with
ring.
the eye. In the books, from what I remember, it doesn't really say that. It just talks about the eye of Sauron is all seeing, essentially.
Okay.
Or
so,
not even all seeing, but
So-
like
So the
where
movies
he's focused, he
the
can see.
movies made it very literal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That
did,
okay, but that is awesome. I don't think it would have been that hard to explain that.
Where does the story now? Where do the rings enter the picture?
Say that he used to
So-
be beautiful. That you could say that.
The rings enter the picture before the fall of Numenor.
Okay.
Which is where the show. Well, I guess they kind of get that right, but so basically, Sauron disguises himself as another being, another human, as an elf,
Kyle.
and he goes to the elf lords, and they study ring making, and they make the 3 rings for the elves, seven
Five?
for the dwarves,
Seven.
and the 9 for the men.
Right.
And then he, in secret, goes to Mount Doom and creates the last one.
Celebrimbor.
Thankfully, they tell. Yeah, I know that because of the video games.
That's the one.
And
I
so
remember.
after that is when he goes.
But so it was kind of a ruse, so to speak. Was this a
Yeah.
way for him to get them all?
That was his goal. He wanted all of them to have the rings, and if you had the one ring, you could control all of the
yeah.
people with the rings.
So where are the other rings?
So there's the 9 Nazgul.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the 9 rings of the men.
Okay.
The 3
So-
rings.
So
of
the one ring did
elves-
that job.
Yeah. So the 3 rings of the elves. Elrond wound up with one. Galadriel had one, and then the ship haven at I forgot the name of the port, but the ship that you see at the end of the movie.
Yep.
That place there's
Heaven.
the guy there had one, but when Gandalf showed up, he gave the ring to Gandalf. So Gandalf had the ring that had it was Anduli, I think. Maybe I'm getting that wrong.
But they don't have
sound
they don't
familiar.
have any of the same powers as the
No,
one
but
ring. or
the
any of
reason
the
that like when you see the high elves, Galadriel's people, they have all those big trees and all of that
Yep.
there is because of the ring that she has. The ring that she has allows her to create growth and greenery,
Oh, so they kind of have
promote health
special
and stuff.
abilities.
and then the ring that Gandalf had helps to imbue a fire in people to give them courage and so on and so forth.
So, what is, let's say theoretically, Sauron does get the ring. What happens next?
Frodo and Sam fail.
I think
Well,
That what
yeah,
you're
they
asking?
take
from
the L.
what I remember,
That's the
if I-
immediate aftermath.
L for
From what I
love.
remember, if I understand it right, basically Sauron then resumes all of his power again.
So,
Because when he made that ring, he imbued a part of his power into the ring. And so without the ring, he doesn't have some of his power.
So is this ring the well? So he's not gone forever once they destroy the ring.
So once the ring is destroyed, his last tie to Middle Earth is destroyed, and so he disappears and goes to where everybody goes when they die.
But he can still.
Well, I
make it.
shouldn't say everybody. He goes to where, like, he's pulled back out, and he cannot resume human form unless LOTR, I pronounced that wrong, the god figure,
Yeah.
lets him come back.
So
So
he
that's
theoretically-
where when Gandalf dies to the Balrog, he's given back his life
Right.
to come back and continue.
Okay.
So
Okay.
now when elves die, they go to another middle place and they get sent back into Middle Earth.
Sounds
well,
like
they
a lot
actually
of
get sent back
bureaucracy.
into the Undying Lands.
Like, hey,
God-
where am
this
I
God
going in the
figure is just
where am I going in the afterlife?
moving
Well, where'd you
pieces.
come from?
Where did
And
you
What's
go?
your race and ethnicity? Are you allowed to ask me that?
Well, they
Or I'm
talk
just
about
gonna
that
go to the
where
Undying
Is
Lands.
it homie?
the
I made
envy of
you.
the elves is that men get to die.
The what?
The envy of the elves is that
Oh,
men get to
yeah,
die.
yeah.
And the envy of the men is that elves never die.
Right.
And then dwarves are some weird in between.
As they always are.
Yep, but that's
Interesting.
what makes them fun.
So,
I mean, yeah, guys, if you guys haven't like gone and just watched a couple of like YouTube videos on
Yep.
Lord of
I
the
also
Rings lore,
apologize if I got
Go
something
for
wrong.
it.
It's
It's
been a
so
while since
cool.
I looked at
yeah,
some
that
of
was going to
stuff.
be so two points I was going to make about this. One, I think it's really important right now because we have two other movies. I would rather use a lot of this episode to lay the groundwork for the other ones.
Sure,
That way, when we do get to the first and the second one, or the second and the first one,
because that's our luck.
That's how it's going to happen.
but when we do that, we can just go, hey, if you want to get clued in, go listen to this episode first, whatever, 30 minutes, and then, or whatever, I guess, middle 15, whatever. And then you can, yeah. So so don't be afraid to do that. Second, yeah, I don't know if I'm sure we probably have a few hardcore Lord of the Rings fans, but chill. It'll be okay
Yeah.
if we get some things wrong. Spoiler alert, I'm going to get some things wrong.
That's right.
I like getting things wrong.
It's a
I'm trying
challenge.
to
If I
trigger
get
you.
something wrong, you have to correct me.
Oh,
Wow,
well.
put it in the comments.
Wait, but what
which
do
you
they
guys,
get?
It's
you
like when you,
guys
no,
What do
it's
they
like
win?
when you read the
do.
Bible and you gotta, like, if you're comparing false teachings to the Bible, you gotta compare it.
Are you nominating yourself as a false teacher?
No, I am not. I'm just saying that.
He's saying you might be though.
I don't
He's
know.
like, well,
I don't know
maybe.
what I'm saying. I'm
No,
just
you're
saying,
fine. You're fine.
do
We'll
your
get
own
you.
research.
Oh, it's like a pastor saying, "Don't take my word for it. Go check it with Scripture."
Yeah.
So that's what Ryan's
Just try and
saying.
get more people reading
Well,
this stuff.
Well, the pastor should then
Yeah,
provide.
Ryan.
The
You heard
scripture.
Ryan. He said, "Don't read your Bible. Go read Lord of the Rings."
Now, read your Bible first,
And,
and
compare
don't
contrast.
count the Rings of Power as canon.
Those are Ryan's two rules. Go read your Bible before Lord of the Rings. Don't count Rings of Power as canon. I like it.
That's some pretty solid rules. I mean,
Well,
and
let's
it's crazy knowing Amazon's got like they're working on like 3 separate shows right now. They're not.
and it
slowing
shows.
down.
well-
they are shows.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the form in which we watched it. Specifically, I think it's important for our fans to know because they are going to be clamoring for which one, which version do we watch, and then let's kind of give. Let's keep it to Return of the King and try not to explain as much as possible, even when we know, hey, this happened in Fellowship of the Ring, that kind of thing. So,
We
Ryan,
watched
what did we
the
watch?
only version worth watching, which is the extended edition.
We did it, and it was long.
How long was it, Ryan?
It's almost 4 hours or something like
It
that.
is 4 hours.
It required 2 discs.
Yep.
Well,
And
they all
2
do.
Blu-rays.
All 3 of them.
I thought you meant
Yeah.
every movie. I'm
But no, like,
I
this
don't
one
know about
was-
No,
that.
not the theatricals. Yeah,
This one was 2 Blu-rays full.
just all movies in general.
It's a short film. I got to put the second one in.
For Christmas, I got the 4K edition, so that's the one we watched.
And we got to
It
bust
was
it out.
so pretty.
It's so cool.
It is very cool. How did you feel about the it's been edited, yeah, touched up, that kind of thing.
From what I know, that's all they did is touch it up. They didn't do the George Lucas re-edit and stuff.
Good.
Like, it is the movie
And that's
the
fine.
same way.
Just run it through the processor.
It's the
Basically
world's
just-
best New Zealand tourism video.
Yes, it is.
Beautiful.
Oh man, I'd love to. New
I
Zealand.
didn't know that was it was entirely shot in New Zealand. I
Mhm.
mean, I knew
Yeah.
that a significant portion
They
of it.
may
but
have done some of the inside stuff not there, but
okay.
like some of their sets and stuff may not have been.
See,
in
I
New
would've gone
Zealand,
the
but
other way.
Everything outside.
I
was
would
in
have
New
looked at those
Zealand.
snow caps and said that's not it, but it was in the Southern Alps, which I didn't even know was a thing.
All right.
The Southern Alps, far away from the
The Alps.
Alps.
Is it southern of the Alps?
I mean, it's New Zealand, so it's down there.
That's true. It's pretty.
And
south.
I think I want to say it's on the South Island. I'm not going to Google it. I don't care.
Yeah, you're fine.
So I can say this because it was in this movie.
All right.
When we saw, I just lost the name of the place.
Gond.
Where the Row, where the Rohim
Limburg.
live.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why I can't remember the name of the city. But that city there, when they shot that,
Rohan.
it's the
Gondor?
but that's not the
Gondor?
name of the city.
Oh, then yeah, he's talking about the keep.
Yeah,
the actual
not Helm's
Well,
Deep,
not
but
Deep.
I'm
and
talking about the
not,
actual city
Minas
on the
Tirith.
hill.
Yeah.
In the
The
middle of
horses.
all that field.
where Wormtongue was.
Why am I?
Well,
being
he was
So,
Well, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm doing the thing
Yeah.
I said let's not do.
why am I being so stupid?
the only
right
thing
now?
we saw there
It's
is
on the plains.
Pippin looked in the sphere,
Dude,
and they're
it's all on
standing
the
out
plains.
there.
It's a lot of it in the two
You're right.
towers.
I'm not gonna remember the
Yeah.
name of that.
Anyway,
but
sorry.
you're right. I got you.
When they shot that scene, they literally had to cut the grass in foot squares
Edoras.
and number
Or-
them. Yes, Edoras, or
Edoras,
something like that.
okay.
They had to number the squares of grass and flowers and everything, and they had to put it back the way that it was before they filmed there.
Really?
They
The
built
country of New
the
Zealand was gonna get too mad at
entire
them.
film set
Out of
and
nature.
then completely turned it back to how it was beforehand
Why did they do that?
because it was on like New Zealand federal land or something like that.
So they had to move it.
Like that was the condition of being able to shoot there was they had to put it back.
Peter
how
Jackson
they
said,
found it.
"Okay,
wanna
guys,
know-
put it back better than you found it."
I want to know where they pulled it from. Why didn't they just shoot it there?
No,
Without moving
when
anything?
they made the set there,
Oh,
when they
they
cleared the ground,
oh,
they had to put all that back when they had to tear that set down and put
Okay.
everything back to how it was before they built the set of the city.
that's wild.
Yeah.
That's like Chris Nolan planting that field of corn.
Oh
in,
my gosh,
Interstellar.
yes, that's
Not
right.
quite the same thing, but it's funny when those are stories about like filmmaking that I love. It's like
Absolutely.
you get one, you get like really creative with it, just to make this work, and then two, you see how much like stuff like that is. You're like, man, that's so ticky tacky, but it's like, but it shows
Mhm.
like
I
it
just
pays
wonder,
off.
Who was the film executive that greenlit Peter Jackson doing this?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
because
what's-
at that point they hadn't released a movie yet.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
they filmed everything before any of them were
that's true.
released.
What's crazy to me is Peter Jackson getting the Lord of the Rings. Have you guys seen any other Peter Jackson movie?
No.
I've seen 2 others of his. His very first major motion picture was, is it Dead Alive? Oh my gosh. You won't find a dumber, and I think it is statistically, like factually, the bloodiest movie of all time.
Oh wow.
New Zealand dark comedy. It's a zombie movie. My dad and I grew up loving it. My dad loves it. It's so dumb. I won't say it's good, but it's fun.
Is it similar to What We Do in the Shadows?
No, it's not as brilliant,
Okay.
It's
I
a
was
lot-
gonna say,
I
New
mean-
Zealand indie kind of
Yeah,
semi indie,
but it's
horror.
very indie horror comedy. Stupid, but it's just gore and and dumb comedy. It's enjoyable.
I mean, there's a lot of gore in this.
There is, but no, this is like there's a mansion that gets flooded with zombies, and the main character takes a lawnmower,
Oh wow.
and yep, it basically rains blood.
Well, they would have done that in Lord of the Rings, but lawnmowers hadn't been
That's
invented
true.
yet. So.
The other one I've seen is The Frighteners. That's the fun one. I think that's Michael J. Fox.
Hey, sorry to derail us for like 5 minutes, but I asked this in the.
I mean, I started talking about other movies. You're fine.
I asked this while we were watching the movie, but do you think that there was a point in time in man's history where we could have chosen technology or magic, and we chose technology and they chose magic? I would like to see. Have you guys ever been? I've thought about this before. Something like mowing the lawn. Somebody like a magician or like a wizard
what
using
that would look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I think we have this we have this idea of just like a wizard walks out there, snaps his fingers, and it's cut. And no, I like magic with strings attached. We're like, yeah, man, I can't be doing this all day. Like I've got to kill.
Like Lord of the
We
Rings.
would just have a goat out in the front.
Yeah, yeah. That's true.
You know, yeah. Well,
But-
that is something I both love and hate about Lord of the Rings. Is the magic is almost kind of grounded. 'Cause
Yeah, until it comes to Tom Bombadil, then it's like, yeah, whatever. he
yeah,
wants
that's
to do.
true. That might be one of the main reasons he's not in the movies. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, that it is.
I mean, when you see even
Ryan walked out. Now he can't.
massive,
He heard He heard Thomas Bombadil, and he couldn't.
even when you see massive moves of power in the movies, like maybe like the ball of flames at the start of this one, and it looks like that, or it looks like we get a couple of staffs snapping in this movie.
Yeah.
Do we want the Tom Bombadil thing now or when we do Fellowship?
When we do Fellowship,
Fellowship,
it makes
yeah.
more sense to do it in Fellowship.
Yep.
So I do adding to what you said. I do kind of appreciate that. It's
Yeah.
not Harry Potter where it's like, well, and here's a spell that they introduced in your 4th year that you will need later.
Right.
Yeah.
What
so
is
there's
your
two things to remember with the magic a little bit. Tolkien wrote this in the 40s, 50s, and Tolkien was the Catholic. So he's not going to go too far
That's
into
true.
the deep
That's true.
type stuff
He's gonna find
like
it
they would
evil.
these days.
Yeah, that's true.
Magic. That Harry Potter
Well,
sinful
he
magic.
said, how can I do that when Germany's not practicing magic? And that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, you're right. What would be, I don't know that I've asked this on the podcast before, but I've definitely, this is one of my favorite icebreakers, and I'll tweak it. So I usually ask, if you had one mildly inconvenient superpower, what would it be? Now I'm going to tweak it. If you had one mildly convenient magic spell, what would it be? So like, for instance, I've always given the example of that would just kind of set the tone. I can plug in a USB into the block first try without having to turn it over 3 or 4 times. I think that would save like at least 5 seconds. Like in a life death
So,
situation, like plug it in. 5, 4,
seriously unserious things.
In my line of work, that would probably save me hours.
Exactly.
your life,
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Well, you can't take that because that's my example. But that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
It's like-
everything's USB-C now, so it doesn't matter.
well, I guess that's true.
My
What would it be?
first thought, I think I would love to be able to like have a pair of glasses or sunglasses that perfectly makes it so that you can't, like, the sun doesn't get in your eyes when you're like driving or something.
So you want glasses?
Just instant reaction
But
glasses.
like sunglasses that do what, like
the conversion ones that just instant though.
well, I do have those, but I mean, like, sunglasses don't protect your eyes perfectly. Like, you know, if you're driving towards the sun while the sun's setting, you're
So you
gonna
want
have
adaptive
you're gonna have
sunglasses.
problems. I want sunglasses that are perfect. Is all I'm saying. Something like that.
Why?
That'd be nice. I
Okay.
very much dislike.
How would you use that in a life or death situation? Marty, fly this into the sun. I can't. I got my regular glasses. I forgot my sunglasses.
It's too bright. I don't have my patented
Yeah.
perfect magic sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know.
like
It
that.
would- also, I was just trying to.
Wait, are these prescription lenses?
Of course.
Of course. I don't know.
Well, I have transition lenses, and they're not great. I'll be honest.
Yeah, that's true. They do get a lot of flack. Wait, hold on. But would you still go with the sunglasses look, even though you could have glasses that block out the sun? Because I mean,
For me-
part of that's the look. It looks cool.
For me, actually, I'd love to be able to. Sure. I mean, I'd love to be able to rock sunglasses.
I'll flip that. All right, I'll flip that. I would like sunglasses that I could wear indoors and act like regular glasses that bring in the sun.
The
Just-
most
just
mildly
let-
inconvenient.
Let the day come in. You know
Gift.
what I mean? That would be me. I could wear sunglasses all the time and read a book in the middle of the night.
Sure, I get what you're saying.
Night vision sunglasses is what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
sure, that's pretty sweet.
Sorry,
But
I
they're
didn't mean
they're not green and awkward.
No,
You're seeing perfectly.
Right? I hate
Yeah.
that. It's like Matrix is done. Sorry, I didn't mean to ape your idea, but Ryan, what about you?
I guess to always have the correct adapter with me at all times.
Yeah, that would save you so much money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, wait.
I mean, just look at so like to give you an example, nobody on the thing can see, but this one here,
Yeah.
it's like a $70 adapter.
Oh.
This one here, like a $40-$50 adapter. Just to get into that console that you can't even sell for $50 these days.
He's like, hey, sorry, I left my adapters out. Like, Ryan, that's not the movie we watched. We watched Knives Out, not adapters out. No, so you would like you imbue it with the power of like a transformer adapter.
Sure. Or just
we
to
gotta make it-
literally be able to reach in my bag and have the adapter I need.
Oh yeah, it's like a bag of. But then you get like an apprentice, and they think, "Wow, his bag is magical," and he's like, "No, moron."
Okay, so
I'm
then
magical."
how about this? How about a Mary Poppins bag that just has all of the adapters in it?
No. I
No.
like your idea more.
I think it has.
Forget Mary Poppins.
It
She's
has
so.
to. It has to
dumb.
be a fanny pack.
Oh yeah, would you like it if it's a? No, he does not like the
No.
fanny pack. Marty, you're really like you're trying to get to Ryan tonight. Like
You said that like you knew. Do you,
Marty's got an axe and he appears to be grinding it on the against Ryan. So what were you saying? What else?
well, you responded to that pretty quickly. Did you know that Ryan has a thing against fanny packs?
No, he reacted.
Oh, okay.
I can see him.
That's true. You can see.
Can't.
I have to turn over to see Ryan.
You gotta be very careful. He had
That's
a
true.
knife out earlier. Knives out.
3
Oh,
of them, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah, against you. So
That's funny.
But no, okay. So what would you do? It's got to be because it's got to be
Or
magical.
a
So like
Klondike
magic.
bar.
So like magic bag, right? What
Yeah.
would your sunglasses? You say magic sunglasses,
Magic
but how would you?
sunglasses,
But
yeah.
how would you like? Because every like it's got to be like a magical. Part of it's the power. Part of it's the presentation. You know what I mean?
Sure. So so you're saying it has to be an act. So
Well, it doesn't have to be. I'm saying like, how would you present it to somebody and they go, "Wow, that's really cool." Like, well, really, it's the way I was
here
holding
are
it.
these sunglasses that when you wear them, the amount of light that you take in is what you need for the moment.
The amount of light is
Okay,
the
sorry. No,
perfect
I'm-
amount of
I'm-
light.
Keep it simple.
I don't mean a TED talk. I just mean like.
I thought I was doing
Like,
an elevator
set
pitch.
No. Set the mood for me. You're in the middle of this movie, and they're like, "What are we gonna do?" And you're like,
I've been really trying.
and then you're like, "Hey, kid, try these." And then they're like, "Whoa!"
There's a nuclear
Ryan.
explosion
So
going on,
Ryan,
and you
like
put on the
Ryan
sunglasses.
Ryan has an apprentice. He reaches in his bag, goes here, and then the apprentice goes, "Wow, it's something about that bag." And then Ryan goes, "No, it's me." And that's the twist. Like, boom. Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
Like,
so,
what's your story?
I mean, I was the greatest wizard in the world, and I hated driving into the sunset. It hurts my eyes.
He's like, I was a desperado wizard, and when I ride to the sunset, I hate putting on my glasses.
Womp, womp.
I'm a loner, and loners got to be alone. Yeah, but what about your sunglasses?
Leave my best friend out of this.
Well, you're wearing your glasses, not your sunglasses.
We're gonna
Well,
go to
these are the
Tahiti,
same.
and I need those sunglasses for
These are
Tahiti,
the same-
Arthur.
The same thing. Wow, Mr. Cowboy Wizard, that's cool.
Yeah, they call me the wizard.
What's is that like Gunslinger? Is that like Stephen King? What's a good cowboy wizard name?
What's that? What's that one stupid rom-com that apparently all of our friends have watched? The one that I said sounded like a D&D name, like Hold Dark or something. I think it was Hold Dark.
Yeah, it's Dark.
That's
What about that says
that's
cowboy?
Still so fun. Nothing.
okay.
I just had to. That's so funny to me. It's just it's a normal romantic comedy, but it sounds like Hold Dark, Destroyer of the Realms.
It does actually kind of sound like that.
Magnus.
Why?
No.
Here he said, "I don't know." It's high pitch. Man, I feel like we should come up with a cowboy wizard.
Well, what's a good cowboy name? Let's get that ball rolling.
Okay.
Get my brain moving.
Man, I don't know. What's the most famous?
John.
John
Those always-
Gandalf.
Johnford.
What? Ryan, what's a famous cowboy? I don't know that I know any famous cowboys.
I know a famous
Billy the Kid.
actor,
Okay.
John Wayne.
Yep.
When you say famous cowboy, that's what comes to mind.
Arthur Morgan.
It might be it might be better to go famous wizard. That might be better.
Gandalf?
What's
Yeah.
the one? Melark. No, that's Merlin.
Saruman.
Merlin.
Oh, Merlin.
Merlin. Arthur.
Radagast.
Arthlin.
Yeah.
Merthyr.
Radagast.
Radagast, yeah.
How's
The
Merthyr?
two blue wizards.
Let's do Merthyr.
Merlin.
I mixed Merlin and Arthur.
Merlin, Montana. Dude, that sounds pretty cool.
I like it.
I like that one a lot.
Indianapolis Jones.
Is he quarterback for the Colts?
Can we make a phone call real quick and we can get back to our talk about movies?
Yeah, if you
Can you
promise.
just confirm that's the right number?
Yeah, we'll make the phone call if you promise that we actually talk about the movie when we get back.
Yes. You have to hold me to it though, because we haven't talked about the movie
Oh,
in
dude,
15
I'm the one
minutes.
asking dumb questions. How can I hold you? All right, you take this phone call. I'll think of cowboy wizard names, but do it now.
Yes. That's it.
All right. When you're ready, just hit it.
Let me calling now. Send that text. Hit This.
Yep.
I'm so nervous.
It should work. I think I tested it.
Cool Hand Albus.
Hello?
Well, hi, Lauren. Welcome to Three Dudes in a Movie, the podcast.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, well, we're recording a podcast to answer your question.
Yes.
Hey, question for you. 2 questions, actually. 'cause
Buffalo the Gray.
we'll get to the question why we called, but just in spur of the moment, if you had to come up with a name for a cowboy wizard, what can you give us?
Harry Cassidy. Butch Potter.
Just try your best.
That
We're
sounds
giving
like a cuss word.
we're giving you all these great examples. What do you got for us, Lauren?
Alpha.
Hold on. Can you please look at this picture of Sauron?
Yeehaw Pumpernickel. That's what we're
Wait,
going with.
say it louder, please. Say it louder.
Yeehaw Pumpernickel.
I like it, but it's less a wizard and it's more like 4th grade cowboy.
Listen, that's what we're going with, and your girlfriend agrees, Jacob. so
Girlfriend.
that's what
Oh,
we're
I was like, I don't have a girlfriend. You have a girlfriend.
Check out this picture of Sauron.
All right. Hey, Lauren. The reason we actually called you, forgive
This is Sauron the Power Ranger.
Forgive the nonsense. I'm sorry. We're having a lot of fun tonight. Can you give us a number between 1 and 100 so we can
No,
watch
you
that
can't
movie?
have my location.
1 in 100.
Yeah, between 1 and 100. I'll let you know if it's a movie. If it's
We
a number
love
that's
this
already
game.
been picked.
Okay. I'm gonna go with 27.
27.
Have we actually looked that up? We don't have it ready.
I have it. Well, I have the.
Turns out there's maybe 10
I have the
wizards
poster saved amongst my favorite memes. So
Okay.
that's 10. That's 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Found it.
Have we already chosen?
Oh,
it?
what I picked?
We've not.
Oh, all right.
Jacob, you want to announce it?
Spirited Away.
Woo!
Wait, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, Spirited Away. Yeah,
Yay!
but it's
No,
not. It's not.
Psycho.
It's not the. What,
Story.
good job. It didn't even say Psycho. You knew that from the poster.
I did.
Oh, don't. No
Great job,
deductive
Lauren. Have you
reasoning.
seen Spirited Away?
I have. Not since I was like a kid, though.
Yeah, that's great.
And Jacob loves it.
I love it.
Lauren, good pick. You like it. Ryan and I have never seen it, so we're excited. Good job.
Oh,
That's
you're going to enjoy it. Have a great time.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Maybe we should do a watch party.
Oh, yeah. That'd be so fun. I'm down.
Good. Have a lovely evening, and hey, think about that cowboy wizard for us. would you?
Texas Jack Saruman.
That's you can't just throw Saruman in
It
there.
sounds like a special at I don't know, like a Chinese restaurant.
A Chinese. All right.
All right, thanks, Lauren.
Hey, Lauren, have a lovely
Let's
evening, and thanks for calling.
You too.
Well, we called you,
Bye.
but thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
I like that. We should end every phone call by going, "Thanks for calling," and then hang up. And they go,
Oh, we just gave poor Lauren from her perspective. We just gave her the wildest phone call we've had on this podcast.
She doesn't listen to the podcast. She has
She
no
doesn't
idea.
listen.
As far
She
as we
doesn't.
know, as far as she knows, we do this every time.
That's true, and that wouldn't surprise her. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
that's
might even lie and just tell her, yeah, we've been trying to come up with Cowboy Wizard for the last 27 episodes. And
we
she'd be
actually
like,
ask every person
she
that
goes,
question.
wow, what's your podcast about? I go, we don't know. We don't know. It's us. It's just us calling people.
I'm a fan of Butch
Which one?
Butch Potter.
Butch. That sounds like a slur. I don't know. We got to be careful with that. I don't know about that one.
Oh man, that's gold. Okay, hey, someone just take something about Return of the King and we'll roll with it.
The thing is, Harry Cassidy sounds like a British, like
Is
a
he
British, like
is
forensics.
he really that hairy?
Is it real? Is it real?
Long bombs away.
Long bombs.
Oh man.
All right.
So Return of the King is the portion of the story from after
does
the
it start?
Battle of Helm's Deep
Okay.
Which
is
is
when it
so
begins.
good. Can't wait to get to that.
until the end of the story. Now they did omit stuff that's in the books that
What did
would have
they
added.
omit?
They added the scourging of the Shire. It probably would have been another 2 hours to have told it properly, which is the reasoning they gave for why they did it, because it was already a 4 hour long movie. That's just quick. That's what the movie is portion. If you've never seen them,
Thank you for
why are
saying
you
that's
listening
just
to
a,
this?
That's
Go
just
see
a
them.
quick talking about a 4-hour movie. You're right though. I mean, I don't know if there could be a bigger recommendation.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't
haven't
seen
seen
Lord of
it,
the Rings, I
let me
mean,
know, and we will watch them.
yeah, Ryan will come to your house. I don't care if you're one of my Michigan friends. Ryan's gonna find you.
Yeah, that probably won't happen.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll send Jacob.
I got
then.
work.
Yeah, I'll drive to Michigan and watch Lord of the Rings with some folks.
Trevor, are you listening? I bet he's
And-
not.
and,
Trevor's not gonna listen to this.
And I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't. I'd make sure. Hey, be sure to be watching this, and then I would tell them how much of a dork they are. I go, yeah, keep watching.
Dweeb.
Golly, dude,
Just sit
why are
there.
you watching this? No, keep watching. God, why are
And
you?
you're
wa-
just like, this is so
Do you not have anything better to do? Keep watching. No,
Oh, the
I'm just
extended editions, huh? Wow.
kidding. Wow, that's awesome. Better be 4K.
The other editions don't exist.
Well, they did. Those are the ones that made most of the money.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
I've never seen them, so they don't exist.
Dude, Ryan's worldview is getting kind of wild right now.
Why am I the most normal person
He's
on
like,
this podcast? tonight?
First, read the Bible for Lord of the Rings. Second, whatever the second thing he said. I
no
can't remember.
rings of power.
No rings of power. And third, if I can't see it, it doesn't exist. The world according to Ryan.
Oh man.
Hey, I'm all about it.
I
No,
am too.
I do.
Our goal is by the end of the podcast to have Ryan's 10 Commandments.
No, our goal by the end of the podcast is to make Ryan a Lord of the Rings fan. That's the. I
I
don't
think
think
that
it's-
goal was accomplished before we hit
No.
record. the
You're
first
into
time.
it too much. We're trying to get you out of it.
Yeah, we
Become
said-
a fan.
We said
not
a fan, not
yeah,
a lifer
not a
or whatever.
follower.
Shout out Kyle Eidelman.
yeah. Not a fan. So no, I do. We jest, but it is. It's such an accomplishment that it is. Obviously, the source material is one of the best. I mean, it is.
It's one of the most complete things ever made.
You talk about literature in the last century. It is this. Well, not you know what I mean. The last 100 years, it is. It's got to. It's top.
like
It's,
it.
yeah.
It's kind of started the modern fantasy
Yeah.
genre
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Now,
When did Narnia come out?
around the same time.
Yeah, they
Okay.
came out
Tolkien
around
and
the same
Lewis
time.
were friends. They
Right,
knew each other.
right.
And there was
That's
kind of
why I
a
asked.
weird like
The
Lewis
Ink,
went back and
the
forth with
Ink
publication.
Boys or whatever.
Yeah.
That's why I say it was kind of what started.
The
Yeah,
Ink
there was a
Boys. That's a
couple of
tattoo
things that-
parlor.
Oh, I promise there's 100 of those in this country.
But it is good. So first of all, the source material they draw from, and then how faithful they are, and even when we talk about some of the differences, some of the omissions they made felt like the right move to
Which is just the hardest decision in
As much as
film
someone like me will
adaptation.
complain about it, they did a good job.
and they made it consumable for the modern theater audience.
Mhm.
You know,
The
which
commoner.
is
Well,
which is what
So-
which is what going to drive it, and then the goodwill to make an extended. You know,
I was watching a video that was talking about it, and when they made those movies was the perfect time because
You mean like the time they released?
like when they
Early
made
2000s.
them, like
That's
late 1900s, early 2000s. When this 1990s, sorry.
It's really.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
1900s,
say
but,
that.
Don't correct you.
Inappropriate joke. I'm not going to say it.
part of it was the technology had just gotten to the point
Mm.
of doing that. Like that's when they were finally able to do it, and it was right before all these other things started coming out. If it had been done any earlier or any later, it would not have been done with the same level of practical
Yeah,
effects.
That's true.
With
And we
mixed with
see
CGI,
that. We see
with-
that in The Hobbit.
You see that in The Hobbit. The Hobbit is nowhere near the same.
Gosh, the level
Which,
of practical effects in this is.
I will
awesome.
say, and this sticks out in my mind. This might be the first one. Where's the one, the Legolas horse swing that looks really funky?
I think that's was in this.
It's
one?
it's the
No.
it's the like the whatever the orc hound chase.
Yeah, I think
Towers.
that's in Two Towers.
Yeah, I think it's
Towers.
Two Towers.
This is the one where he
they're going
slides
to
down the
Rohan.
elephant or the
Yes.
elephant.
Yeah, that one.
trunk.
But that one is the only time I'm like, okay, that looks kind of hokey because the way he swings doesn't
Yeah.
physically make any sense. But other than that, yeah.
But
it's-
he's an elf. It's light on his
I
feet.
would say, yeah. How much of you would love to be a fly on the wall through that entire process from a studio perspective, like even the executives to green
Well,
like
they were
this?
going to make one movie.
Yeah.
And then the executives decided,
Oh,
you
that
know what?
hurts
No,
my
one
brain to
movie
th-
won't do this. We need two. And then it changed hands on what company was going to do it.
Yeah.
And
Gosh,
for-
I'm blanking.
They chose
Who did this?
Warner Brothers.
Okay.
They chose Peter Jackson for some reason, and Peter Jackson, if
For
I
some
understand,
reason.
if I
I
remember
mean,
right,
He's right. I mean,
They saw something in him.
he
they
came
saw the
in
Frighteners.
and he was like, "No, I'm not doing this as two. We're doing this as three."
Yeah.
And the executives were like, "Cool, all right, we'll do it as three," and they funded it. Like at a time when as an IP had nothing going for it. They
Mhm.
sunk hundreds of millions of dollars into this thing.
And struck a chord.
And it was worth it.
Yeah.
So it either means they saw the potential,
Mhm.
or one of the executives was a Lord of the Rings fan and just
Well,
wanted to see it
yeah.
done
I think
right.
there's a fair chance
Yeah.
both of those things are true.
Yeah.
That person now owns the world.
Yeah.
So
Jeff Bezos.
it is,
Well, then Peter Jackson went on for his magnum opus,
The Hobbit,
King Kong.
of course. Well, yeah, it's good things.
Actually, I do love that movie.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen
It's
it
a
in
lot
a
of fun.
while.
It's like
it's good.
It's great. It's pretty great.
Are you talking about the Jack Black one?
Yep.
Yeah, that one's good.
It's good. 3
It's just been-
hours.
it's been a
It's
good-
one of his like long movies. He took the time to tell the story, just like Lord of the Rings.
I've only seen 6 Peter Jackson movies to my knowledge.
And it's the
Trilogies.
Tolkien properties.
I guess I've probably seen close to 6, if you count the 3, and then
You
I've seen the
Hobbits,
2
right?
two of the Hobbits.
Oh, okay.
and then
And then King Kong.
King Kong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you, Jacob, would love Dead Alive. Ryan, probably not.
He hates lawnmowers. And I think also
You
I
might.
don't,
I
I don't
don't
want to talk about it too much because I don't want to be negative Nancy, but it is interesting when you compare Lord of the Rings and Rings of Power, and I don't think it. I think there's a certain degree of it of the fan, like there's fan pressure because it's one of the most beloved IPs in all of media, but I also think it is an example of tangibly seeing the difference in one universe between a studio who in goodwill said, hey, this is what we're going to do the right way. And it did strike a chord at just the right moment, but then probably a studio that took creative liberties to fit the message that they want. And
The
and
directors,
then it's a little more clear that they probably made some studio decisions of what's best for business.
the directors of Rings of Power came out and said, "We will tell the story Tolkien couldn't write."
Yeah.
So
They did say that, and that's pretty pathetic.
that's
Well, he
being
didn't let
very
him finish
arrogant.
because he
and-
died before he could. No. Yeah,
No.
yeah,
Nice
'Cause he
Lego
wrote
movie
those stories.
reference.
yeah.
They're taking his stories and twisting them.
Do you realize you just did that?
Which one was
You
that?
just entirely quoted a quote from the Lego movie.
Oh yeah, I did. I did.
You
didn't I?
didn't let me finish because I died.
because I died.
Morgan
Yeah,
Freeman.
that is yeah. But yeah, you see that it shows you that. And I've thought about this a lot when if you're playing a video game and maybe not reading a book, well,
Sometimes.
a series or something, or watching a movie, watching a TV show, when you see some sort of creative project and you can tell based off of the result that somebody in there was just looking at the bottom dollar,
Yes,
Yeah. And that's frustrating.
it is, and
Well,
that's
what's frustrating with the Rings of Power
Rings of
show
Power.
a little bit is it has the biggest budget of any TV show
Ever.
ever
It's
produced.
like 560 million, wasn't it?
And you'll see. No, I thought it was up to the billion.
They gave $1 billion for like the
Was that
first
for the
phase
first
of
3
projects.
seasons? Okay.
Yep.
I
But
couldn't
even
remember.
then, okay,
But this
think,
took
because
half
you
of
just
that.
said that. What's what you said with Lord of the Rings? Like, what is it that the studio saw that they were willing to sink in all this cash? And like, yeah, and then Amazon goes and does that on
'Cause
something that's
you
probably
saw-
less.
You
know
saw
it's
the,
gonna be
the Jeff
less.
Bezos quote, right?
Mm-mm.
He wants Amazon Prime to have its own Game of Thrones.
Well, I would have.
That was the direct quote.
Got it.
Yeah,
Um,
I imagine everybody is looking for that.
Sure.
Netflix looking for Witcher.
one of the
and-
things that I saw.
And, well, they're a lot farther along.
wow.
I'm enjoying that.
No, this was a meme, but it made sense.
Yeah.
It was looking at the budget of the Lord of the Rings show versus Return of the King, and then it showed a picture of Gondor at Return of the King, which is Gondor at its lowest, and Numenor at its highest in the Lord of the Rings show.
Which is
And
what
it
I want.
Looks the same,
Does
Yeah.
it really?
and you would think you'd look at the one and like this
Yes.
is supposed to be Numenor at
Yeah.
its highest point.
Height of civilization.
Gondor is at its lowest point
Yeah.
of Numenor because Numenor is destroyed.
Yep.
It's generations later, thousands of years later.
Well, this is something I've talked about in fantasy. We've talked about before.
Yeah.
The fantasy trope of like every story is always happening after the height of
Yes.
something.
Yes.
So then when you're going around
Cities
these towns,
are barren.
Yes.
And yes.
it's like, oh, well, this is bad. You can see what our forefathers left behind, these grand statues and all these things going on. I'm like, yeah, man, how can I live in that?
yeah.
And so then when you see a TV show that's like, hey, we're going to put you there, and then they don't, it's like, dude,
Dude, that's
Now,
such a
is
good
this?
point.
from the building standpoint, they kind of did it, but it's the dress, the way they're all dressed. It looks like they're dressed not in rags, but not in
Yeah.
like we've been.
you don't
We're at
feel
the
like
height of our kingdom
Yeah.
for the last 1,000 years.
you're like, you don't feel like you live in it. And even if you did, you wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah.
You're like, this is
Good
just
point.
nasty. Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Well, we're kind of running up on time, but I want to end it on this so we actually talk about the movie. Well,
And we still got to rank it.
yeah. What is everybody's favorite part of this movie? All that happened. What's their favorite plot point?
Mine is probably, I'll give an honorable mention to Denethor just being on fire and running off a cliff. Big fan.
I'll say this: we can't take each other. So first one to go. This first pick.
Okay, you guys fine with me going?
Well, I mean, you already win, but
That was
you
my
put your
honorable
honorable.
mention, yeah,
Okay,
I just-
fine.
Just
Not that I was going to say
because I had to
Denethor,
talk
but-
about it.
Yeah.
If I'm so sorry if I stole that from someone.
No, that's fine. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
That's pretty great. My favorite part is when at the end during the Aragorn ceremony where he says to the hobbits, "You four bow to no one."
Yeah,
That is just
that's so good.
so special.
Yeah, that's one of the
The
best.
four
points.
boys there.
It is,
Like,
and they're all reacting differently.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of memes floating around about that one. It's like you won't cry about anything, but watches the Lord of the Rings
Yes.
straight. It's like that'll
Dude,
make you
the
cry.
first time I saw that scene, I cried.
Mhm.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
so special.
that's good. Ryan, do you have one, or you want me to go?
There's too many to pick, so I'm just gonna throw one out there. The
Oh,
scene
man.
where Gandalf rides on the horse on Shadowfax out to get Boromir's brother. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. I'm really not
Dude,
a Lord of the
it's-
Rings fan these
No,
days.
I mean I'm
No.
right there with you. I called him. Dude, I was talking to someone about it like 3 days ago. I was like,
Faramir.
Faramir. There we go.
Boromir's
To go
brother.
get Faramir,
That's pretty.
and he
cool.
holds up his staff,
and then
and
yeah,
it's just light.
yeah.
yeah,
emitting.
that is
That's really
sweet.
cool. Yeah, that's good. Now I was gonna say not necessarily a Denethor falling out, although it's horrible, but it's funny.
Oh, it's so funny.
But is it Pippin that's there, or is
Pippin is Gondor. Merry is
Yeah.
Mary?
Rohan.
So Pippin when he's singing,
Yeah.
that's legit. First of all, I hate
So-
tomatoes, and he's just biting in those tomatoes. I
Chicken
hate
and
that.
tomatoes. That's
and he's
gross.
singing. I'm like, that's legit.
That song
Um,
and over the battle. Too.
yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
that'd
that's
be
Billy
my
Boyd.
honorable. That'd be my honorable mention. But by far, Aragorn and the Army of the Dead, like going
Yeah,
and
that's
confronting
really
them.
cool.
First, like it's metal. I love it.
So cool.
You know, it's so cool. But then also, it's this like, hey, here's your chance, make a difference. I don't know why. I just when we were watching it, I've seen it a ton of times before, and it's just like it's very much like, this make a perfect Iron Maiden album cover.
But
But
the design of the ghost
Yes.
sure would.
But watching it this time around, like that's the part that really spoke to me of him being like, I'll honor your vow if you come and fight for us. It's like
And the language about it is so good.
it's so good, and you're just like,
I hold
here's a
hold
chance.
your vow fulfilled.
Yeah.
So good.
And I remember as a kid when I first, maybe not the first time I watched it, but I remember being like, I think I was at my grandma's watching it, and when he's like, "What say you?" and I was like, what does that mean? And she goes, "It just means like, what do you say?" And I was like, "Why is that?" I remember it's like Yoda speak is weird to me, but yeah, it's like that is the thing I think like thematically spoke most to me of like, oh, no matter what, it's never too late to make a difference. Like whatever
Yeah.
that thing is
That's good.
that you wish you could have changed in your life, start today. It's like it's never too late.
Every
just-
story needs a good redemption arc.
and
And,
it-
Lord of the Rings, it comes in the form
and
of
it's-
Ghost Army.
Yeah, exactly.
It
It's
comes in
kind
the
of an
form
undertone.
Tons of different ways.
That's
Yeah,
the entire
it's-
thing is a redemption.
Right. But it's kind of it's an undertone building into the larger story because it's
Yeah.
like you're not thinking at the end, you're not thinking about the Army of Dead, they redeemed themselves. Like no, you're thinking the whole redemption of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's there, and it just like I said, it really spoke to me. I love that scene.
Like that makes me think of one of the other scenes that's great.
Okay.
Is when Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli jump off the ships, and
Oh,
the
and it's just
orcs are
them for
there
a second?
when they're at Osgiliath at
Yeah.
the landing just before going ahead to the battle,
Yes.
Yeah.
and the orcs are just looking at him like, "What are the three of you gonna do?" And then the next scene is
It's
just
just them
the
just
ships and the
rushing.
ghost of the
It's-
army
it's
just
so
coming
good.
out of them.
So good.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a good movie.
All right. Hey, we haven't done it in a while. Rank these films.
All right, I remember.
Rank these films.
Yeah.
Rank these films.
All right.
Hey, everybody, we're going to do a podcast. We're going to podcast.
We're
gonna rank these films. Yeah,
Rank
which is
these
we are.
films.
Ryan, is this your number one movie in the whole podcast that we've done at all?
Yes.
And there's
This
our
is
first
also
ranking.
Probably going to be the number one of all time.
Okay.
Ha, ha, ha.
Great.
Ha, 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 ha. All right. Want me to go?
Yeah. As much as you want, I'll follow your lead. Give the folks a refresher.
All right. Friends, as if you recall, Jacob and I are doing 2 separate ranking systems with the same goal in mind. For me, I am working from the bottom up. 100 to what this movie makes is 83, which that would be 18 films. I said 17, but 100 counts. So The Pianist is dead
Wait,
last.
and you can move them around. Sorry.
Huh?
Did you want me to tell my system, or you were going to just cover my system?
I don't move this list around.
Oh, you lock it in?
These are all locked. Yes.
Oh, really?
I move around the TD at the movies.
The new releases.
Yeah.
Wait, so you've been locking them in this whole time? Oh, no. Sorry. Explain it. Out of those films that we've seen so far, so the 17 to 18,
Yep.
then you lock them in, but out of those films, I spitball and go, I think this is going to be that,
yeah.
and I'm stuck with it.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry.
Yes, I stick with what I put, but I still put it
Yeah.
amongst the list.
Right.
So like if I think a movie is mid, I'll throw it in the middle, which right now would put it around 91 would be mid right now.
Yeah.
So 100 is The Pianist, 99 is Harakiri, 98 is Goodfellas, 97 is Old Boy, 96 is Life is Beautiful. Huge jump between Goodfellas and Old Boy, by the way. Just want to say that.
It'll become apparent as we continue on.
Absolutely. 95 is Cuckoo's Nest. 94 is Three Idiots. Gosh, what a good movie. 93 was Your Name. 92 was Parasite. 91 was Fight Club. 90, Green Mile. 89 was Gladiator. 88 was Endgame. 87 was Seven. 86 is Forrest Gump. 85 is The Shining. 84 is Aliens. And right now, Return of the King is my 83, and it is my number 1 movie we have watched so far.
Nice.
And I want you guys to know that I predicted before we watched, I was like, where am I going to put this? And I thought it was going to be third. I thought I was going to have The Shining and Aliens above it. And then it ended, and I was like, that is not correct. It's not correct for me, for my opinion. So right now, Return of the King.
I can see you putting one other one on top of it.
That's on the list.
Yeah.
I think this is going to finish number 3 for me.
Yeah.
It's my prediction.
Okay. So as I said, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of spitballing and locking it in. I'll just go with my top 5 because I won't go through all of them.
Sure.
Not counting Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. So I have number 25, Avengers Endgame. That feels like a good
That's great.
end out the
It's
quarter.
a great spot.
Number 15, Gladiator. Number 12, Parasite. 11, close in front, Forrest Gump. And then number 3 is The Shining. I put Lord of the Rings, Return of the King at number 7.
It's good.
And
Great. And that was what it was on the list, too.
Yeah.
yeah. I realized that when I put it down. Well, and it will also be the highest of the. Well, man, it will probably be the highest of the 3. Here's the thing.
I know it will be for me.
When I've kind of gone back and forth. When the movies were first coming out and I saw them, I immediately went, I like the Two Towers more.
Yeah.
Because of Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
That bomb alone, I was like, that's cool. And then as I got older, I really loved Return of the King. Then the last time I rewatched Lord of the Rings, I fell in love with Fellowship of the Ring, which for the first 25 years of my life, I would have said,
That's the
Fellowship of the
boring
Rings, boring. It's awful. But then you're like, I just kind of fallen in love with those characters. And so there's a possibility that Fellowship of the Ring ranks above it.
Sure.
Maybe like number 6. I don't know. It's top 5.
Well, I love
we'll
that.
See.
I love that because I remember back when we did Endgame, you were like, and in Infinity War is probably going to be 24.
Yeah, exactly. It's going
Just
to be
keep
right
putting these
before that.
properties right next to each other.
Yeah. Well, it feels right. You got to.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But yeah, that feels. So I didn't want to rank it too high because I thought there's a good chance at least one more is going to be above that, but I also didn't want to put it too low. So
Yeah.
it's at least a top 10 movie for me.
Ryan, can I ask, what movie do you think, if I had kept this at 2, what movie do you think you would have?
I could
Pink
see you
Floyd, The Wall.
potentially doing either New Hope or Empire.
Probably not.
No? Okay.
No, probably not.
You're wrong, Ryan.
I thought he was going to say The Dark Knight.
Man, are you ready to fight? Are you guys ready to
I
fight
wasn't
now?
thinking
It seems like you
superhero.
guys are wanting to fight.
Because I've
This
never
is-
seen those.
Yeah, well, Ryan, we can fight real quick.
Yeah, you guys want to fight.
You got me. A New Hope is going to be super high for me.
Things you
I'm
say. Quickest way to
sucker
start
for
a
New
fight.
Hope.
Hey, you guys
Hey,
want
you
to
guys
start
want to start a fight? Welcome to Rhode Island. Thank you for
Thank you
visiting
for
Rhode
visiting
Island.
Things that the bad guy, the serial killer says before popping out is like, oh, I hope nothing bad happened to him. They should be here by now. Sorry, if I get sucked into the Who's
Yeah, we can-
Line,
we can keep
I'm
going.
about to. I feel it soon. Another Who's Line marathon coming.
We did it.
All right, so
Spirited Away.
guys, Spirited Away is coming out next week.
I can't wait.
I have a proposal that we've been talking about on the podcast. We'll take it off air. That we'll talk about something about this weekend. But you can at least expect Spirited Away. And anything else that we need to talk about?
I don't think so. We're gonna get to Ant-Man soon.
Yep.
But we'll probably
Coming up on some new
crack up
releases.
a couple of the lists off in the meantime.
Yeah.
Because that is mid-February, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so probably.
We might even
What
have
document?
3 more of these.
There's a few more.
I want to say it's like.
It's like the 17th or 20th
Yeah.
or something.
Well, there were
like
other
that.
movies in between then that I thought I written down, but now I can't find my list. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate
and
all
if
that
you
do.
watched, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
Tell us how you did it.
Yeah, well, if you watch the YouTube, just stare at it, whatever it is.
That's true.
Love you guys. Love all the support, and we'll be talking to you. All right, bye.
Thanks for listening to the Three Dudes in a Movie podcast. We appreciate you. Feel free to follow us on Instagram, and be sure to give us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Have a great day, and remember, movies are good. All right, bye.